In our previous reviews of the stablemates for this 2017 Porsche 718 Cayman S, the Boxster, Boxster S, and Base Cayman, we've already detailed the transformation from the previous naturally aspirated 6-cylinder engine to turbocharged flat-4 power. In short, the new engines are more powerful but sound completely different. This transformation stirs debate. Is a 4-seed induction 4-banger that makes more power better than the former naturally aspirated flat-6 that needed to be run out to redline to make power but sounded so beautiful while doing it? The new 2.5-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder generates 350 horsepower, 25 more than the old 3.4-litre 6, but it does not create operatic music. It instead emits a raspy, uncouth sound that strikes some drivers as unpleasant and grating in the way people can't figure out how that nasally Dylan character landed a Nobel Prize for Literature. It's just so artless, they complain. In the case of this S model and Bob Dylan, for that matter, they've got a point about the singing voice, but they're wrong about artistry. Linear power delivery, with 0.5-litre more displacement and a variable vent turbocharger that comes into play earlier in the rev range, the S doesn't suffer the turbo lag we noted in our test of the Base Cayman with a manual transmission. It makes less boost, a maximum 14.5 pounds per square inch versus 20.3 for the 2.0-litre. And its specific output of 140 horsepower per litre is lower than the 2.0-litre model's 151, which means, depending on who's reading, either that it's less stressed or that there's more room for aftermarket tuning enhancements. The larger point is that there's a linearity to this engine's response that, we'll argue, makes it worth considering an S model with fewer options versus loading a Base Cayman with Porsche's notoriously pricey add-ons, despite a $12,400 gap in their base MSRPs. Look at a graph of the torque and power curves depicted in this review of a 2017 718 Boxster S, and you can see why, below 2,000 revolutions per minute, the 2.0-litre engine's torque output sags like a loosely strung power line before it rises steeply toward the broad plateau from 2,000 to 4,500 revolutions per minute. In the S version, by contrast, the 2.5 litres torque curve makes a straight line to its higher but similarly broad peak output. Turn your attention to horsepower, and the new Cayman S shows a straighter, smoother line from idle to its 6,500 revolutions per minute power crest than did the 2014 to 2016 Cayman S with the flat 6 that peaked at 7,200 revolutions per minute. The latter had an agreeably split personality, mildly entertaining at low RPM but with a pulsar-quickening ride to redline once the variable intake air valve system came into play around 4,000 revolutions per minute. This undercam sensation can be delightful in the right circumstances, and the auditory results won praise from drivers of our long-term 2014 Cayman S that said, the ideal power curve wouldn't curve at all but tries on a constant upward slope, with each additional 100 revolutions per minute accompanied by exactly the same portion of added power. The new Cayman S engine comes closer to that ideal than the old one did. In practice, coupled with our test car's 7-speed PDK dual-clutch automatic transmission, this results in a more nearly perfect Cayman. Mind you, that's in the context of a car we've been putting on our 10 best cars list pretty consistently for a decade. It missed joining the Boxster in 2013 only due to a model year changeover hiccup. Getting closer to perfection when you're almost there is an incremental business. One measurable increment in this instance is an improvement in 0 to 60 mph acceleration to 3.6 seconds. Fully 0.5 seconds quicker than our test result for the 2014 Cayman S with PDK. The advantage extends to all our acceleration tests, with the quarter-mile happening in 12.0 seconds at 117 miles per hour, beating the old car by 0.6 seconds and 5 miles per hour, and the 30 to 50 mph and 50 to 70 mph tasks being completed 0.3 and 0.1 second quicker. Both cars had the launch control function that generally sees PDK-equipped Porsches outrunning their manual transmission equivalents that lack that feature. The new car's advantage in our 5 to 60 mph rolling start test that obviates launch control's advantage improved to 4.4 seconds from the old model's 5.1. Besides which, the Cayman S responds to throttle inputs superbly, delivering that just right sensation that 1 iota more or less pressure on the pedal will result in exactly 1 iota more or less thrust. Modern electronics can help manage this feeling much better than in the old days of cables and levers, but it requires fine-tuning to make the controls, the engine, and the transmission programming all come together, and Porsche clearly has been painstakingly attentive here. Bend the road, bend your mind, all of which works superbly in concert with the balance and road holding this mid-engine sports car delivers when the road turns. Find your favorite has-bend, preferably one like that on our undulating 10 best test loop, steer the Cayman through it, and there's nothing else short of a supercar that delivers the way this Porsche does. It goes exactly where you point it and manages left-right transitions with aplomb. Get your inputs wrong so that you need to adjust your line, and the car shrugs off added steering, braking, or mild throttle amendments without a care. If you'd asked us what needed improvement on the Cayman, steering and handling would have been low on our list, and yet the 718 has firmer springs and dampers and a quicker steering ratio that together make this exercise even more rewarding than previously. Our test car had the PASM option $2,070 that brings both adaptive dampers and a 0.8-inch lower ride height, the Porsche Torque Vectoring System $1,320. And the Sport Chrono Pack $2,440. Our long-term 2014 car was similar, except it had an on-adaptive sport suspension in place of PASM, and they all work so well that we'd recommend any Cayman buyer consider that collective investment mandatory. Porsche should really just bump up the base price and include it all as standard on the S, at least. We'd also recommend this car's $800 Sport Seats Plus and its GT Sport steering wheel, a $320 option we rued not having in our long-term. This Cayman S circled our skid pad at 1.02 grams on its optional 20-inch Cara S wheels $1,580 shod with Biley P0 rubber. That's a negligible 0.01 grams behind our long-term car's grip, which was matched by the regular 718 Cayman tested earlier. For people who remember when only binned race cars could corner at 1.00 grams, the amount of grip available on the open road is astonishing, but the car's manners as it approaches the limit are even more so. On our skid pad, it understeered even less than did a Chevrolet Corvette Grand Sport, pulling 1.18 grams in the same test. The Cayman stopped from 70 miles per hour in an excellent 142 feet, another number the like-priced Grand Sport can better 129 feet by virtue of its grippier Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires. The Porsche vs Corvette question can continue fueling the bed crazer debates for years to come, but the engineers developing Chevrolet's mid-engine C8 are sure to be benchmarking the Cayman's balance, transitional behavior, and all-around ability.